Smokin Tobacco's coverage of the 2024 Premium Cigar Association Trade Show is brought to you by Drew Estate, the rebirth of cigars.
What's going on, everybody? Matt Tabacco from SmokinTobacco.com. I am here at PCA 2024 with coverage brought to you by Drew Estate, the rebirth of cigars. And speaking of Drew Estate, we're in the Drew Estate booth. I'm with Willie and Rob. You guys are finally back. They've returned to PCA. Haven't seen them the last few years, so this is exciting. This is exciting. Drew Estate's back with the music and everything. But we're in the booth. We're going to talk to Rob and Willie about the S84. So, Rob.
Yes.
You. This is something different for you. Normally you work with whiskey, but now you're working with tobacco.
I get to live in both the worlds. Two of the best worlds right there. You know, making whiskey is obviously my passion. I've been making whiskey for 17 years. Very, very gratefully get to make whiskey with Blackened Whiskey, with Metallica.
Yeah.
And, I really found a beautiful kind of connection with James Hetfield over our mutual love of cigars. And that's really where this whole idea just started to kind of percolate out during COVID. We were social distancing, up at his place in Colorado and smoking cigars. And I just said, hey, man, I know some really good cigar makers, the best cigar makers in the world. We need to make a cigar together. And he said, oh, yeah, let's do it. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. We've talked a lot about, celebrity, like, partnership cigar projects and stuff that have blossomed over the years. And I feel like it kind of went away, and now it's making this resurgence, and it's kind of made a really big resurgence. I mean, what you guys are doing is a major part of that too, and it's been very successful for you guys so far, which is great to see. You had the original Blackened that came out. Remind me again, that was 21?
24. No, I think it was 22.
Was it 22?
22, yes.
22. And now you have the shade version, the S84, which we was just unveiled at the last Freestyle Live last week.
Yes.
So this is exciting. This is brand new.
What was your guess?
I thought it was going to be possibly another Nica Rustica or like maybe Herrera Esteli, something along those lines. That was kind of where I was at. I know Cigar Coop called it. I got to go on record here, and I got to give him credit, because Coop said this is going to be another Metallica cigar, and I said okay. And then when it got unveiled, he said I got it right. I called it, so I'll give him credit for that. He called that one, but I did not. But it's exciting to see the line expand already. So tell us a little bit about kind of mentality-wise going into this. You could have gone in several different directions with the blend. Is Connecticut the first choice? So what were you guys thinking on that?
Well, the cool thing about this project, it's, you hear a lot of projects, like you were saying earlier, celebrities or whatever, and I don't know that they're necessarily so hands-on in the cigar,
right.
In the blending process, what wrapper, what type of flavor profile. So this project was the exact opposite. It was, you make samples, they smoke it. Oh, we don't like this. Go back, start all over again, or tweak it, change the wrapper, change the binder, until you get it to how they want it and how we want it. Because there's no sense in making a cigar they want or they like, and then I can't smoke it, or none of our guys are going to smoke it. Everybody has to like it.
Yeah.
So it was a really fun project because it's so hands-on. It's, like I said, come up with a few blends, ship them out, they smoke them, oh no, they're garbage. Okay, we start all over again. And so we got to the S84, and we didn't want to do something the same as the Maduro. It had to be different enough to cater to a different smoker. Hopefully, the same smoker will smoke that maybe in the morning. But you don't want to just come out with another Maduro.
Right.
So that's our mentality. Every time we come up with something new or a line extension, unless it's just a new size. If it's a new line extension, a new expression, you want a different type of cigar. And so just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good cigar. I've smoked it, and it's exciting to know that now that there's a Connecticut shade version in the Metallica. I love Metallica. I'll just say it. I've been listening to Metallica my whole life. It's one of my favorite bands. We were just talking before we started shooting amongst the three of us, and Willie and I almost said at the same time.
Yeah.
I think
No, you took the words out of my mouth, man.
I think Turn the Page. I think the cover of Turn the Page is the best song Metallica's ever done.
For me, yes.
For me, I mean, and they got a lot of great songs. Don't get me wrong. They got a lot of jams, man. I mean,
They do.
You got the Black Album. I mean, it's.
Yes.
But that song, I mean, it always resonates. With
Ooh,
me.
I love it, man. The wife knows that comes on. That's going full blast.
Absolutely. Rob, I want to ask Rob another question. So,
Sure.
And working with the cigars too. I mean, obviously, you know, you have cigars, you got whiskey, right?
Right.
Which is always like a pairing situation. So
Yes, absolutely.
in working with the blends, and you know, working with Willie and everyone over here, you know, obviously, I'm sure there's a major component of this where you're blending the cigar and everything you talked about, but also, you know, you kind of want to blend it too, so it goes well with the blackened whiskey. You know,
Absolutely.
so that they
Right.
work hand in hand. I mean, you know, how hands-on with that part were you too? You know, going back for the whiskey and the tobacco and trying to make sure that they really line up.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's always an art form, blending. You know, and that's the way I approach blending whiskey. Probably very similar to the way you approach blending a cigar. You have an idea of a profile that you're looking for, and you're layering something in. But you can layer it in, and then you're like, oh, I just blew out the flavor profile that I was heading for. You got to start over again.
Yeah.
You know, especially with whiskey, you can't unblend it. And so it's a similar process. And I think, you know, applying that kind of mentality to the blends and the creation. You know, when we were sitting down, you know, Drew Estate was sending us cigars. You know, James and I were smoking them, keeping a journal. We like this. This one's too spicy. This one's we're heading for. You know, we like those dark chocolate notes. And for me, I'm always thinking about how that's going to taste with the whiskey. How that's going to come across. You know, we don't just have one expression. You know, we've got our bourbon and rye blend. We have a rye. You know, we've got other collaborations we've done, whiskey collaborations. It was very natural to be able to do this and apply that blending strategy, just you know, the way you would with cigars to the whiskey. So, and then you pairing them together. That is a match made in heaven. That is where you're sitting there going, you're like, holy hell! Look at what this is. Yeah, this works. This works. So for me, it's such a treat to be able to do that. Be able to sit down with both of these things, these expressions, get to work with some incredible people on this in collaboration to do it.
What's more difficult? Well, trying to work with people on a blend of a cigar or sitting down and blending whiskey?
Well, blended whiskey is kind of that's for me. It's a personal thing. I'm sitting there in my lab. I have my own lab in my house, so I'll be blending. You know, have an idea of the direction I'm heading, and for me, it's almost like the way I have a friend of mine who writes code, you know, computer code for a living, and he's like, once you're in, you can't go and just step away for a few minutes. You have to be in the moment, and you have to keep doing it. So that's the way I approach it. You know, it's kind of very personal for me. But with this, it was really working with a lot of other people, and I've done other blends with people, you know, like the collaborations, and that's fun to see how they approach their methodology with the way that I approach. And a lot of times you're like, oh, I wouldn't have come this way. Some people have a sweeter palate. I don't really like sweets, but I love bourbon, but not too sweet of bourbon. You know, somebody I might be working with likes a sweet bourbon, so I think it's fun to be able to embrace those kind of things.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't get to blend anything, but it's fun to hear about the process and see you guys do what you do, and then see the final product and taste it for yourself. I find the whole thing interesting, especially the science behind tobacco and whiskey, and a lot of whiskey is corn and all the stuff that and the wheats and all the other grains and stuff that, you know, people work with. But I find it's just so interesting, and the science that goes into it too. And then to see you guys get to that moment where you're like, we got something here. It's like,
and you know, and that's the thing. You know when it's right. You know when it's wrong. And it's just as important to know what's wrong.
First sip or the first puff? Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. You're like, nope. Throw it out. And that's it. You have to know what's bad to know what's good. You know, just as much as knowing how important it is to know what's good as well.
Right.
So I think you know, it's fun to be able to go through that process. The way I approach it is like, I'll have a core idea in mind, and I want to draw your palate in, and then I want to bring it up to a pinnacle, and then have a nice long finish, and then layer flavor in between. You know, it's almost like this, you know, like a pyramid of flavor, that leaves you going, oh, I want another sip. You know, I want to, and I'm sure it's the same way with cigar. Yes, exactly. I want to finish this thing. I want to go all the way down to the nub.
Keep wanting more.
Another one. when you're done with that one.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Always wanting more. Always wanting more.
Yes.
Guys,
yes.
I have to say thank you for spending some time with me at the show today. Thanks for talking about, everything you guys have doing. Congratulations on the success.
No, thank you.
Seriously.
I mean, it's such a treat and such an honor to be able to work together with such great craftsmen and craftswomen and to share that passion.
Yeah, and you guys make it look so easy.
No, it's not easy.
And you make it look fun. But I'm sure
The
sometimes it's
sleepless
not.
nights. Yes.
The stress.
Whiskey keeps me up at night.
There should be like a documentary of behind the scenes, how many blends you go through, how many different, this one and that one. Oh no, it's there's a lot, man. You're talking years.
Yes, yeah, and it is years of that knowledge that culminates into that one moment of, I saw this this anecdote one time where a woman saw Salvador Dali on the street in Paris, and she went up to him and she said, "Hey, can you draw an artwork for me?" And he sketched it out and he said, "That'll be $300." And she said, $300? That only took you 5 minutes. And he said, "Madam, it took me a lifetime." And it's a lifetime of knowledge of knowing what works, what doesn't work, and to apply that and to go back to the drawing board and be okay with failing before you do get to something that succeeds at such a level that we have.
Yeah. And I have to say, beautiful representation too. I mean, the packaging design from, the black and like that copperish, goldish color, you go down to the white on the black. I mean, different, but that blend of design is all still there, and it looks nice on the shelf, the way it's presented. I mean, we talk about packaging, Willie, is in this business, and I'm sure in the whiskey business too. Packaging is like important, but it's not,
Right.
But at the same, but you can't not talk about it, and it looks great, when it sits on the shelf.
We like our extremes.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing a great job. Thank
Excellent.
you both for talking to me today.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of the show. Good luck with everything blackened in Drew Estate, and we'll catch up with you guys next time.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget to stay tuned for more coverage from PCA 2024, brought to you by Drew Estate. Take care.